It's a sad time in the smartphone industry as we bid farewell to LG, which has recently announced the closure of its mobile devices division after decades in the game, making memorable phones such as the LG Chocolate and most recently the LG Wing. We explore what some of the reasons are for the closure and what this means for innovation going forward. Hey, what up? It's your boy MobbJustice back again with another video, and for today, as you might already know, we're looking at the closure of the LG's smartphone division. Sad time because it means there's one less player in the game, one less opportunity for innovation, and one less competitor to drive down prices, to increase innovation, and to give customers all-round choice. As always, this video is brought to you by the team over at Lion Media. Head on over to check out some of the crispiest photo, video, and audio content. That's www.lionmedia.com. Head on over, check it out, and just see what the team can do for you. Over the years, I've always followed the developments around LG and its devices because they are one of the biggest electronics makers in the world. I mean, they make a lot of TVs. That's what people really know them for. Fridges, washing machines, and the like. But for a number of years, they have been in the phone game, coming into the Android world from about 2009. But before that, they had the memorable models. I remember when I was in high school, the LG Chocolate was really a big device that showed off great design, and it had the capacitive touch buttons. It wasn't really touchscreen, but it was a really cool phone. And over the years, they've been known as one of those companies that wasn't shy or afraid to try something new when it came to innovating in their products. So it's sad to see them leaving, but for today, we're just looking at some of the reasons why this had to happen. Now, over the years, there have been a number of big brands that have fallen off. I think the most famous example is Nokia, and less so is HTC, and to some extent Sony, because they're still all making phones in one form or another, but their market shares haven't really done what the likes of Apple and Samsung together with Huawei have been able to do. Now, there are a lot of reasons why LG had to come to this decision, and I'm going to leave two videos linked in the description below, one by Michael Fisher and one by MKBHD. They're really informative. They take a deep dive, and I think it's really a great basis to look at some of the reasons why LG had to close this. But for this video, I'm specifically going to focus on three issues. The first one being that LG doesn't seem to have had an identity that consumers and customers could latch onto. The second one being that everyone needs an iPhone or a Porsche Cayenne. And then the third one, just saying that it is sad to see an innovative company like LG Mobile leaving the scene. Now, starting off with the issue of identity, it's always important for a brand to have some philosophy around it. We understand in a way where iPhone gets its sense from: a lot of minimalism, simplicity, great design, phones that work, phones that can last a number of years, iOS and ecosystem, all of those things. Same can be said about Samsung, which usually has phones across a number of different areas, but all of them starting with the Galaxy range, and a lot of features being packed around cameras, processors, bigger phones, bigger screens, great screens, high refresh rates, that type of thing. And you see what's happening with Huawei. They've got great cameras, great hardware. OnePlus has championed itself as being a budget-friendly option, trying to compete with the more established brands, especially in the upper price points. But for LG, they've had a reputation as being a risk taker, but never so much establishing what their actual identity has been, because yes, they're a risk taker and they have come up with some really cool features which have influenced the smartphone industry as a whole, but they have tended to lack a lot of consistency. If you look at some of the features, especially if I can just use the example of the secondary display that they had on some of their phones a few years ago. They tried it once or twice, and then after that they sort of let it go. So yes, you take risks, but it's always good to take a risk and then stay with that risk. Take iPhone, for example. They removed the headphone jack with the iPhone 7, but they have stuck with it ever since, because after the public outcry, etc., it would have made sense if, and the iPhone 8, they would have taken it back or put it back in the phones, for example. So all of those things engender a sense of identity, and I think to some extent LG didn't really give that to us. That said, we need to give credit where credit is due, because if you look at LG, coming back to the example of the iPhone that I gave just now, LG was one of the few manufacturers that actually maintained having a headphone jack on the back of their devices, and really appreciate that. And one of the things that they had become known for was having a DAC, or digital to analog converter, inside their phones, which meant high quality audio would come from that. So kudos to them on that. The second issue to identify for LG is that they didn't really have like one device that would say was carrying the line as a whole. We all need an iPhone, we all need a Porsche Cayenne, and I'll explain what I mean. Apple has traditionally been a computer company. That's where their roots are. When Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak created the company, they were a PC company, right? But over the years, the business model has evolved, and their main selling product at the moment is the iPhone, right? But what the iPhone allows them to do is to plow money and resources into other products. We recently had the HomePod being discontinued, but by having an anchor product like your iPhone, right, it allows you to create all of these other products around it, and to make and to subsidize other product lines, right? This is something that wasn't really had at LG. They had a number of different phones, a number of different brands, whether you're calling it a V50, whether they're calling it a chocolate, whether they're calling it a wing. They didn't really have that one product that anchors the whole brand. If you look at what happens with Samsung Mobile, they have their Galaxy range, right? You've got the S range at the top, which sort of anchors the rest of the series coming down, right? And a lot of people might not end up getting, let's say, the Galaxy Note, but they might have a lot of people getting a lot of the S21 or the S21 Ultra, for example, and that will carry the division forward, and that's where the rest of the phones get their identity from. That's where they get that. And in the same way, Porsche has been a car company that was known for sports cars, but in recent years they had to adopt their business model over to SUVs, and now you have things like the Porsche Cayenne and you have the Porsche Macan. And the Cayenne, because it sells so well, it means that Porsche as a company remains in a lucrative situation. They're able to make money but still be able to offer 911s and all of that. The last point is more of a sentimental one, simply because it is sad to see a company like LG shutting down their mobile device division, simply because it means there's one less competitor, and it's a big competitor, because in the US they had about 10 to 15% market share. Unfortunately, around the world they had about 2% global market share, which makes sense, so they can focus on their other lines of businesses. We spoke earlier about the washing machines, TVs, all of that. And for me, it's a little bit sad because over the last couple of months, it seemed as if they had a couple of exciting products that would have done well had they been able to develop them, maybe iterate, right? Like the LG Wing. I really liked that phone and what they were trying to do with that. Different form factor at a time when people are doing foldable phones and all of that stuff. They decided to go, they decided a different approach when it came to that aspect of dual screens, right? And at the same time, there had been rumors of a rollable phones, and that was really looking exciting. And the other important factor about having LG around was the fact that consumers could count on having more choice in the market. You know, that helps with driving down prices. It also means that as they were innovating, it means other manufacturers were also forced to look at what they were doing and find ways to either replicate or do something better. And competition is always good, especially for driving the industry forward, driving design forward, driving technology forward, but also helping consumers to have more choice in the market and, you know, expanding what the possibilities of a smartphone can be. And on that point, one just hopes that as new players come into the market or existing players, you know, look to replace the gap that's been left by LG, that it doesn't discourage other players from being innovative. Learn from the mistakes of LG, you know, find little better business models around it, but keep innovating. That's the most important thing. We certainly just hope this doesn't discourage people and smartphone manufacturers from trying new things to take the industry forward. Going forward, one of the things that people might wonder is what LG is actually going to do with that mobile division, because they've been around for, you know, more than a decade. They've got research and development, they've got patents, they've got a lot of technology, a lot of manpower, right? What are they going to do to that? There had been speculation that they were going to sell, and I know that Volkswagen was one of the, you know, potential buyers that had been listed there. But one could think, you know, the likes of Motorola, the likes of Microsoft even, because they had their hands in mobile and they're still trying to do something, perhaps they could do that. Or LG could find ways to repurpose some of the technology and their learnings from the mobile world and apply them to other, you know, industries and sectors within their branches. But we wait to see what LG is going to do to that. They have until about the end of June, mid-year if I'm correct, to actually wind down that division. But the company has said that they will continue to support people that do hold LG devices when it comes to, you know, things like software support, you know, just making sure that the phones keep working, at least for, I think it's one more generation of Android updates, and then, you know, things will wind down from there. In conclusion, sad to see LG closing their mobile division. You know, one hopes that after a year or two they might revive that brand again, or maybe find a way to continue it, either by passing it on to another owner or finding, you know, some way to, you know, stay involved, because the innovations that they were bringing, like I said, I had been excited by what was going to happen if they had continued with the LG Wing and possibly the rollable devices. That looked like it could have been a cool area of business. But let me know what you think. Are you sad to see the South Korean brand, you know, shutting their doors on their mobile division? The business is still fine, they're still going to do other things, but their smartphone game is, you know, out of the door. Do you have an LG phone? What has been your experience? Did you have some of those older legendary devices like the LG chocolate back in the day? How sad are you? Are you even sad at all? Or is this just one of those things and the world will continue buying up other Android devices together with devices on the side of iOS? Let us know in the comments and we'll catch you guys in the next video.
This is Muffs Too Much and you're watching MobbJustice TV. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We're there on YouTube. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe.